Capricorn, your presence here right now is no accident. If you've been carrying a weight that no one else can see, if you've been working tirelessly behind the scenes while others take credit, if you've been wondering when the universe will finally notice everything you've sacrificed, I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to share. Because March 16th is not just another day on the calendar. It's the day when cosmic justice arrives at your doorstep. You are one of the most misunderstood signs in the entire zodiac. While others see your composed exterior and assume everything comes easily to you, the truth is far different. You've been climbing a mountain that never seems to end, carrying responsibilities that would crush most people, maintaining your dignity even when exhaustion threatens to break you. And here's what most people don't realize about Capricorn. You don't complain. You don't demand recognition. You simply keep going, one step at a time, trusting that eventually your efforts will mean something. But lately, that trust has been tested, hasn't it? You've been feeling the strain in ways you can't quite explain to others. Maybe it's the physical exhaustion that sleep doesn't seem to cure. Maybe it's the emotional heaviness of watching others receive opportunities you've worked twice as hard to earn. Maybe it's the quiet desperation of wondering if you'll ever reach the summit, or if you're destined to keep climbing forever without ever arriving. If any of this resonates with you, I want you to understand something profound. What you've been experiencing isn't punishment, it's preparation. The universe has been watching every single step you've taken, every sacrifice you've made in silence, every moment you chose integrity over shortcuts. And on March 16th, something extraordinary begins to unfold. The cosmic scales that have felt so unbalanced for so long are about to tip dramatically in your favor. Before we go deeper into this message, I need you to do something important. Leave a comment below saying, "I am ready to receive." This isn't just a ritual. It's a declaration to the universe that you're prepared to accept what you've earned. And if this message speaks to your soul, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because what I'm about to reveal will transform how you understand your journey and your destiny. Now, let me explain exactly what's happening in the cosmos on March 16th, and why this date carries such profound significance for Capricorn specifically. In astrology, there are moments when planetary alignments create what we call karmic acceleration points. These are windows in time when the universe settles accounts, when the invisible ledger of effort and reward comes into balance. March 16th is one of these rare moments, and it's aimed directly at you. On this day, Saturn, your ruling planet, forms a powerful aspect with the North Node of Destiny in a way that hasn't occurred in over 18 years. Saturn represents structure, discipline, and the rewards that come from sustained effort. The North Node represents your soul's evolutionary path, the direction your life is meant to move toward. When these two forces align, they create a cosmic gateway where past efforts suddenly manifest as tangible results. But here's what makes this alignment even more powerful for Capricorn. Saturn has been moving through a sector of the sky that governs recognition, public achievement, and the conversion of invisible work into visible success. For the past several months, you may have felt like you've been working in the shadows, building something important but receiving no acknowledgement. That's because Saturn was testing the foundation, making sure what you're building can withstand the weight of real success. Think of it this way. When a building is under construction, the most important work happens underground. The foundation must be laid with precision. The support structures must be reinforced. The groundwork must be absolutely solid before anything visible can rise above the surface. To passers-by, it looks like nothing is happening. But the construction workers know that this invisible phase is the most critical part of the entire project. Without it, everything that comes later will collapse. Capricorn, you've been laying your foundation, and on March 16th, the universe gives you permission to start building upward. The invisible work you've been doing is about to become undeniably visible. The efforts that seem to go nowhere are about to bear fruit in ways that will surprise even you. Let me share something that will help you understand the deeper pattern at work here. In esoteric astrology, Capricorn is associated with the concept of the mountain goat, an animal that climbs steep, treacherous terrain that other creatures cannot navigate. The mountain goat doesn't take the easy path. It doesn't look for shortcuts. It moves slowly, deliberately, testing each foothold before committing its weight. And because of this careful, patient approach, it reaches heights that seem impossible to everyone watching from below. This is your nature, Capricorn. You don't rush. You don't cut corners. You understand instinctively that anything worth having requires sustained effort over time. But here's what happens when you live this way in a world that values instant gratification. People misunderstand you. They see your slow, steady progress and assume you're not ambitious. They see your refusal to take shortcuts and assume you're rigid. They see your self-discipline and assume you don't know how to enjoy life. But the universe sees something entirely different. The universe sees a soul that has chosen the path of mastery, a spirit that understands the difference between temporary pleasure and lasting fulfillment. And the universe rewards this understanding, not on the timeline that impatient people expect, but on the timeline that creates permanent transformation. March 16th represents a moment when your timeline and the universe's timeline converge. The work you've been doing in obscurity is about to receive cosmic validation. And I'm not talking about vague spiritual concepts here. I'm talking about tangible, material results that will change your daily reality. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. You've heard promises before. You've been told that your breakthrough is coming, that your efforts will be rewarded, that patience will pay off. And yet, the breakthrough never seemed to arrive. The rewards remained elusive. The patience felt like it was being taken advantage of. So why should you believe that March 16th is any different? Here's why. Because the astrological alignment happening on this date is not a general transit that affects everyone equally. This is a specific cosmic event that activates Capricorn's ruling planet in a way that directly corresponds to the themes you've been working with for years. This isn't about wishful thinking or positive affirmations. This is about celestial mechanics creating an opening in the fabric of reality that allows your accumulated efforts to suddenly crystallize into form. Let me give you a concrete example of how this works. Imagine you've been saving money in a bank account for years. Every month, you make a deposit. The amount varies. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But you never stop contributing. For a long time, the balance grows so slowly that it feels almost pointless. You wonder if you should just spend the money now and enjoy it, because the future reward seems too distant to be real. But then something happens. The account reaches a critical threshold. Compound interest kicks in. Suddenly, the growth accelerates. The balance that took years to build starts doubling, then tripling, then growing exponentially. The same deposits you were making all along now produce dramatically different results because the foundation has reached the point where it can support rapid expansion. This is what's happening for you on March 16th. Except the currency isn't money. It's cosmic energy. Every act of integrity you've performed. Every moment you chose discipline over indulgence. Every time you kept going when quitting would have been easier. All of these actions have been accumulating in what I call the cosmic bank. And on March 16th, that account reaches critical mass. The interest starts compounding. The rewards start manifesting at a pace that will feel almost miraculous compared to what you've experienced before. But here's the crucial part that many people miss. This process requires your conscious participation. The universe is opening the vault, but you have to walk through the door. The cosmic bank is ready to transfer your accumulated wealth, but you have to provide the account number. And that account number is your willingness to receive. Your readiness to step into a new level of abundance without the guilt or self-doubt that has held you back. For many Capricorns, the biggest obstacle to receiving isn't external circumstances. It's internal resistance. You've become so accustomed to struggle, so identified with the role of the one who carries the burden, that a part of you doesn't know how to function without that weight. There's a strange comfort in suffering, a familiar identity in being the responsible one who never gets to rest. And when the universe offers you relief, when it presents you with the opportunity to finally receive what you've earned, that old identity panics. This is why I'm emphasizing the importance of declaring your readiness. When you say, "I am ready to receive," you're not just speaking words into the void. You're reprogramming the deep subconscious patterns that have kept you in a cycle of endless effort without adequate reward. You're giving yourself permission to step into a new story, one where your hard work actually pays off, where your sacrifices are honored, where your dedication creates the life you've been building toward all along. Now, did part of you say, let me tell you about the specific signs you'll notice as this energy begins to activate. The cosmic shift happening on March 16th doesn't announce itself with trumpets and fanfare. It arrives quietly, subtly, in ways that might seem insignificant at first but carry profound meaning when you understand what to look for. The first sign is a sudden shift in how others perceive you. You may notice that people who previously overlooked your contributions suddenly start acknowledging your value. This might come through unexpected compliments, recognition at work, or opportunities that seem to appear out of nowhere. What's actually happening is that the invisible barrier that kept your efforts hidden is dissolving. The light you've been generating in private is finally becoming visible to the outside world. The second sign is a feeling of lightness that you haven't experienced in years. Capricorn, you've been carrying so much for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to move through life without that constant pressure on your shoulders. As March 16th approaches and the cosmic energy begins to shift, you may notice moments where the burden suddenly feels less heavy. This isn't your imagination. This is the universe beginning to redistribute the weight, bringing in support and resources that allow you to finally breathe. The third sign, and this one is particularly important, is the appearance of synchronicities related to your long-term goals. You might encounter information that perfectly addresses a problem you've been struggling with. You might meet someone who offers exactly the connection you need. You might discover an opportunity that aligns precisely with the vision you've been working toward. These aren't coincidences. These are cosmic confirmations that you're moving in the right direction and that the universe is actively supporting your journey. But here's what you need to understand about these signs. They require your attention and action. The universe will present the opportunities, but you have to recognize them and respond. This is where many people miss their breakthrough. They're so focused on what they think success should look like that they overlook the actual form it takes when it arrives. Success for Capricorn rarely looks flashy or dramatic. It looks like a solid opportunity that requires your expertise. It looks like a door opening that leads to exactly where you've been trying to go. It looks like the natural result of everything you've been building finally clicking into place. So let me tell you exactly what you need to do to maximize this cosmic window. Because understanding the energy is one thing, but knowing how to work with it is what separates those who experience transformation from those who watch it pass by. The first action you must take is what I call the Capricorn inventory. Between now and March 16th, I want you to make a comprehensive list of every project you've started, every skill you've developed, every connection you've made, and every piece of knowledge you've accumulated over the past 3 years. This isn't about being modest or downplaying your achievements. This is about creating a clear map of the resources you've been building while no one was watching. Here's why this matters. Most Capricorns severely underestimate the value of what they've created because they're always focused on the next mountain to climb. You finish one project and immediately move to the next without pausing to recognize what you've accomplished. But the cosmic energy arriving on March 16th works by amplifying what already exists. It takes the seeds you've planted and accelerates their growth. But you have to know where those seeds are planted. You have to be consciously aware of what you've built so the universe knows where to direct the amplification energy. When you create this inventory, you're going to be surprised. You're going to realize that you've accomplished far more than you gave yourself credit for. You're going to see patterns and connections between different areas of your life that weren't obvious before. And most importantly, you're going to identify the specific areas where you're closest to breakthrough, where just a little more energy, a little more support, a little more recognition will cause everything to suddenly crystallize into tangible success. Let me share a story that illustrates this principle. I worked with a Capricorn client several years ago who had been building a consulting business for nearly 5 years. She was incredibly skilled, deeply knowledgeable, and absolutely dedicated to her work. But despite all her efforts, she was barely making enough money to survive. She was on the verge of giving up, convinced that she had somehow chosen the wrong path. When I asked her to create an inventory of everything she had built, she was resistant at first. She felt like it would just be a depressing reminder of how little she had to show for all her work. But I insisted, and she reluctantly agreed. She spent a week documenting every client she had served, every piece of content she had created, every skill she had mastered, every relationship she had cultivated. What she discovered shocked her. She had served over 200 clients, even though most of them had been small projects. She had created more than 500 pieces of educational content. She had developed expertise in 7 different specialized areas. She had built relationships with dozens of influential people in her industry. When she saw it all laid out in front of her, she realized she wasn't failing at all. She had been building an empire, one brick at a time, and she was much closer to breakthrough than she thought. Within 3 months of completing that inventory, everything changed. A former client referred her to a major corporation that needed exactly her unique combination of skills. That single contract paid more than she had earned in the previous 2 years combined. But here's the key. The opportunity didn't come from nowhere. It came directly from the foundation she had been building all along. The inventory helped her see that foundation clearly, and that clarity shifted her energy from desperation to confidence. And that shift in energy is what allowed her to show up powerfully when the opportunity arrived. This is what I want for you, Capricorn. I want you to see clearly what you've built. I want you to recognize the value of your accumulated efforts. Because when you do, you'll stop operating from a place of scarcity and start operating from a place of readiness. And readiness is the frequency that attracts cosmic rewards. The second action you must take is what I call the release ritual. On the evening of March 15th, the night before the cosmic gateway opens, I want you to perform a simple but powerful ceremony. Take a piece of paper and write down everything you're ready to release. Write down the belief that you have to struggle forever. Write down the identity of being the one who never gets recognized. Write down the fear that your efforts will never be enough. Write down the guilt about wanting more than you currently have. Write down every limiting story that has kept you locked in a cycle of endless effort without adequate reward. Then, and this is crucial, I want you to burn that paper. Watch it turn to ash. As you do, say out loud, I release these patterns to the universe. I am ready to receive the rewards I have earned. I step into my power with gratitude and grace. This isn't just symbolic. Fire is a transformative element that literally changes the molecular structure of what it touches. When you burn those limiting beliefs, you're sending a clear signal to the universe that you're done with the old story. You're creating space for the new reality to enter. Now, some of you might be thinking this sounds too simple, too ritualistic, maybe even a little silly. But let me tell you something about the relationship between consciousness and reality. The universe responds to clear intention backed by decisive action. When you write down your limitations and consciously destroy them, you're not just performing a symbolic act. You're engaging in what quantum physics calls observation collapse. You're taking a field of infinite possibilities and collapsing it into a specific outcome through the power of your focused awareness. Capricorn, you understand better than any other sign that results require action. You don't believe in magic that happens without effort. And I'm not asking you to believe in that kind of magic. What I'm asking you to do is recognize that there's a type of action that works on the energetic level, that shifts the invisible patterns that determine what becomes possible in your physical reality. The release ritual is that kind of action. It's practical magic for practical people. The third action, and this one might be the most challenging for you, is to practice receiving. Between March 16th and March 31st, I want you to say yes to every genuine offer of help, support, or recognition that comes your way. This is going to feel uncomfortable. Your instinct is to be self-sufficient, to handle everything yourself, to prove that you don't need anyone. But that instinct, while it has served you in building your foundation, will now block you from receiving the rewards that foundation has earned. When someone offers to help you with a project, say yes. When someone compliments your work, say thank you instead of deflecting. When an opportunity arrives that feels too good to be true, investigate it seriously instead of assuming it will fall through. The universe is trying to deliver your rewards, but you have to be willing to open your hands and receive them. I know a Capricorn entrepreneur who struggled with this exact issue. He had built a successful business entirely on his own, working 18-hour days for years, refusing to delegate anything important because he believed no one else could do it as well as he could. When his business reached a point where it needed to expand, the universe sent him the perfect business partner, someone with complementary skills and shared values who could handle the areas where he was weakest. But he almost rejected the opportunity. His first instinct was to say no, to insist that he could figure it out himself, to maintain complete control. It was only when a trusted mentor pointed out that his refusal to receive help was actually a form of pride to leap him aside, a way of staying small while pretending to be self-sufficient, that he finally agreed to the partnership. Within a year, the business had tripled in size. Within 3 years, it had become one of the most respected companies in its industry. And he later admitted that none of that growth would have been possible if he had continued trying to do everything alone. This is the lesson Capricorn must learn during this cosmic window. Receiving is not weakness. Accepting support is not failure. Allowing others to contribute to your success is not losing control. It's actually the opposite. It's stepping into a higher level of power. The power that comes from orchestrating resources rather than being the only resource. It's the power that comes from building systems rather than being trapped in the system. It's the power that comes from leading rather than just working. Now let me address something that I know is weighing on many of your minds. You're wondering if this cosmic window is real, if March 16th will actually bring the changes I'm describing, or if this is just another false promise that will leave you disappointed. I understand that skepticism. You've been let down before. You've hoped before and been crushed when those hopes didn't materialize. So let me be very clear about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that on March 16th, a miracle will fall from the sky and solve all your problems without any effort on your part. That's not how cosmic energy works. And that's not what you need anyway. What I am saying is that March 16th marks the beginning of a period where the energetic resistance you've been pushing against suddenly decreases. The doors that were locked start opening. The people who couldn't see your value suddenly recognize it. The opportunities that were blocked start flowing. But you still have to walk through those doors. You still have to engage with those people. You still have to act on those opportunities. The difference is that now, when you take action, you'll get results that are proportional to your efforts. You'll stop experiencing that frustrating dynamic where you work twice as hard as everyone else, but get half the recognition. The cosmic scales are balancing, and that balance means your efforts will finally generate the outcomes they deserve. Think of it this way. Imagine you've been trying to push a massive boulder up a hill for years. The boulder represents your goals, your dreams, your vision for your life. And you've been pushing with everything you have, making slow, painful progress, wondering if you'll ever reach the top. Then suddenly, the hill levels out. The ground becomes flat. You're still pushing the same boulder, but now it moves easily. The effort you're making produces dramatically different results because the terrain has changed. That's what's happening on March 16th. The cosmic terrain is shifting in your favor. The resistance decreases. The path clears. And all the strength you've built from pushing that boulder uphill, all the endurance you've developed, all the determination you've cultivated, now gets to express itself in an environment that actually supports your success instead of fighting against it. But here's what you need to understand about this shift. It's not permanent in the sense that you can just coast from here on out. The universe is giving you a window, a period of accelerated opportunity that will last approximately 6 weeks. During this time, the actions you take will have amplified effects. The seeds you plant will grow faster. The connections you make will bear fruit more quickly. The projects you launch will gain momentum more easily. This is your moment to capitalize on everything you've built. This is your moment to leverage all that accumulated effort into tangible results. This is your moment to transform from the person who's always climbing toward success into the person who has actually arrived. But you have to act. You have to be intentional. You have to show up fully during this window and make the most of the cosmic support that's being offered. Let me give you a specific example of what this might look like in practical terms. Let's say you've been working on developing a particular skill for years. Maybe it's a professional certification. Maybe it's a creative ability. Maybe it's a leadership capacity. You've put in countless hours of practice. You've studied. You've refined your technique. But for some reason, you haven't been able to translate that skill into recognition or income. It's like you have this valuable asset that no one knows about. During the cosmic window opening on March 16th, you might suddenly encounter someone who needs exactly that skill. Or you might discover a platform where you can showcase that skill to a wider audience. Or you might receive an invitation to participate in a project that allows you to demonstrate your expertise. These opportunities aren't random. They're the universe's way of saying, you've done the work. Now here's the stage to perform on. But here's the critical part. When that opportunity arrives, you have to recognize it and act on it immediately. You can't second-guess yourself. You can't wait until you feel more ready. You can't talk yourself out of it because it seems too good to be true. You have to trust that the universe knows what it's doing, that the cosmic timing is perfect, and that you are absolutely prepared for what's being offered to you. This is where many Capricorns sabotage themselves. You've become so accustomed to delayed gratification, to waiting for the right moment, to being patient and cautious, that when the right moment actually arrives, you don't recognize it. You think it must be a test, or a trick, or a setup for disappointment. So you hesitate. You overthink. You let the opportunity pass while you're still analyzing whether it's real. Don't do that. During this cosmic window, when an opportunity appears that aligns with what you've been building toward, assume it's real. Assume it's meant for you. Assume the universe is delivering exactly what you've earned. And act accordingly. Move quickly. Say yes. Commit fully. Trust that your years of preparation have made you ready for exactly this moment. Now I want to talk about something that might be the most important piece of this entire message. Because everything I've shared so far, the cosmic alignment, the inventory, the release ritual, the practice of receiving, all of it builds toward one fundamental shift that must happen inside you. And that shift is this. You must stop believing that your worth is determined by how much you suffer. Capricorn, somewhere along your journey, you internalized a toxic belief. You came to believe that the harder something is, the more valuable it must be. That if you're not struggling, you're not really working. that ease equals laziness, and comfort equals complacency. This belief has driven you to accomplish extraordinary things. Yes, but it has also trapped you in a cycle where you can never truly enjoy what you've built because you're always looking for the next mountain to climb, the next burden to carry, the next way to prove your worth through endurance. The cosmic energy arriving on March 16th is asking you to release this belief. Not because struggle is bad, not because discipline is wrong, but because you've already proven everything you needed to prove. You've already demonstrated your strength, your commitment, your ability to persist when others would quit. The universe has seen it. The cosmic ledger has recorded it. And now it's time for a different kind of experience. It's time for you to discover what it feels like when success comes easily, when doors open without you having to break them down, when recognition arrives without you having to fight for it, when abundance flows without you having to squeeze every drop from a stone. This isn't about becoming lazy or entitled. This is about stepping into the natural harvest that follows years of planting and tending. Think about a farmer who spends months preparing soil, planting seeds, watering crops, protecting them from pests and weather. That farmer works incredibly hard during the growing season, but when harvest time arrives, the farmer doesn't keep working at the same intensity. The farmer receives. The farmer gathers what has grown. The farmer enjoys the fruits of all that labor, and there's no guilt in that enjoyment because the work has already been done. You are entering your harvest season. Capricorn, the work has been done. The seeds have been planted. The crops have been growing beneath the surface where no one could see them. And on March 16th, the universe is saying, it's time to harvest. It's time to gather what you've grown. It's time to receive the abundance that your efforts have created. But here's what happens to many Capricorns during harvest season. They look at the abundant crops ready to be gathered, and instead of harvesting them, they start paring more soil. They start planting more seeds. They convince themselves that they haven't done enough yet, that they need to work harder, that receiving the harvest would somehow be premature or undeserved. And so the crops rot in the field while they're busy preparing for next season. Don't let this be you. Don't let your addiction to struggle rob you of the rewards you've earned. When the opportunities start appearing after March 16th, when the recognition starts flowing, when the abundance starts manifesting, receive it, enjoy it. Let yourself feel the satisfaction of seeing your efforts bear fruit. This isn't the end of your journey. This is the completion of one chapter and the beginning of another. But you can't start the next chapter until you fully receive the rewards of this one. Let me share something that might surprise you. The universe doesn't actually value suffering. The universe values growth, evolution, and the expansion of consciousness. Sometimes growth requires challenge and difficulty. Yes, but sometimes growth requires ease and abundance. Sometimes the most profound evolution happens not when you're struggling to survive, but when you're thriving and learning to handle success with grace and wisdom. You've mastered the lessons of struggle. You know how to persist through difficulty. You know how to maintain integrity when it would be easier to compromise. You know how to keep going when every logical reason says you should quit. These are profound accomplishments, and they've shaped you into someone with extraordinary strength and character. But now, the universe is offering you a different curriculum. Now you're being asked to learn the lessons of abundance. How do you handle success without becoming arrogant? How do you receive recognition without losing your humility? How do you enjoy prosperity without forgetting the values that got you here? How do you lead from a position of power without abusing that power? These are the advanced lessons, and you can't learn them. You're still stuck in survival mode. This is why the cosmic window opening on March 16th is so significant. It's not just about getting rewards. It's about graduating to a new level of your soul's evolution. It's about becoming the version of yourself who can hold greater success, who can steward larger resources, who can influence more people, who can create bigger impact. And you can't become that version of yourself while you're still operating from the old paradigm of endless struggle. So here's what I want you to do in the days leading up to March 16th. I want you to practice a very specific meditation. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes, take several deep breaths, and then I want you to visualize yourself receiving everything you've been working toward. See yourself being recognized for your contributions. See yourself a financial abundance. See yourself surrounded by people who value and appreciate you. See yourself living in the reality you've been building toward all these years. And here's the crucial part. As you visualize this, pay attention to what resistance comes up. Because for most Capricorns, when you try to imagine yourself truly successful and abundant, something inside you rebels. A voice says you don't deserve it yet. A feeling says it's too good to be true. A fear says that if you get what you want to, something terrible will happen to balance it out. These resistances are the invisible barriers that have been blocking your harvest, and you need to identify them so you can consciously release them. When you notice these resistances, don't fight them. Don't try to force them away. Simply acknowledge them. Say to yourself, I see this fear. I understand where it came from, and I choose to release it now. I am ready to receive. I am worthy of abundance. I trust the universe to deliver what I've earned. Repeat this process every day until March 16th. Each time you do it, the resistance will weaken a little more. The barriers will become more transparent. And by the time the cosmic gateway opens, you'll be energetically prepared to walk through it. Now let me address one final concern that I know many of you are carrying. You're worried that if you stop struggling, if you allow yourself to receive, if you step into ease and abundance, you'll somehow lose your edge. You'll become soft. You'll lose the discipline and drive that made you successful in the first place. This fear is understandable, but it's based on a false premise. The premise is that your strength comes from struggle, but that's not true. Your strength comes from your character, your values, your commitment to excellence. Struggle was simply the environment where you developed those qualities. But now that you have them, you don't need constant struggle to maintain them. In fact, trying to maintain them through endless struggle is like a bodybuilder who builds incredible strength through intense training, but then refuses to ever stop training because they're afraid they'll lose their strength if they rest. Rest doesn't make you weak. Rest allows your strength to consolidate and integrate. Ease doesn't make you soft. Ease allows you to apply your strength more effectively. Abundance doesn't make you lazy. Abundance gives you the resources to create even greater impact. The qualities you've developed through years of discipline and hard work are now part of who you are. They don't disappear when circumstances improve. They simply get to express themselves in a more powerful and effective way. Think about it this way. A master craftsman who has spent decades perfecting their skill, when they finally get access to better tools and a proper workshop, the better conditions don't diminish their mastery. They amplify it. They allow the craftsman to create work that was impossible before, not because the craftsman has changed, but because the environment now supports their full potential. This is what's happening for you after March 16th. The cosmic environment is shifting to support your full potential. The tools you need are becoming available. The workshop is being prepared. The resources are being assembled. And all the mastery you've developed through years of working with inadequate tools in difficult conditions, all of that mastery is about to express itself in ways that will astonish you. But you have to trust the process. You have to believe that you're ready for this next level. You have to release the identity of the struggling underdog and step into the identity of the recognized master. This shift in identity is not arrogance. It's not ego. It's simply acknowledging the truth of who you've become through all those years of dedicated effort. So as we approach March 16th, I want you to make a commitment to yourself. Commit that you will show up fully during this cosmic window. Commit that you will recognize opportunities when they appear. Commit that you will act decisively when the universe presents you with what you've been working toward. Commit that you will receive without guilt, without second-guessing, without the self-sabotage that has held you back before. And most importantly, commit that you will allow yourself to enjoy what you've earned. Because Capricorn, you've spent so much of your life in delayed gratification, always sacrificing present pleasure for future security, that you've forgotten how to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. You reach one goal and immediately set another, never pausing to celebrate, never allowing yourself to feel satisfied, never giving yourself permission to simply be happy with what you've accomplished. The universe is giving you permission now. You've done enough. You've proven enough. You've sacrificed enough. It's time to receive. It's time to celebrate. It's time to step into the abundant life you've been building toward all along. And when you do, when you finally allow yourself to receive what you've earned, you're going to discover something beautiful. You're going to discover that abundance doesn't make you less disciplined. Success doesn't make you less committed. Recognition doesn't make you less humble. Instead, these things give you a stable foundation from which you can create even greater impact, serve even more people, and fulfill even bigger aspects of your soul's purpose. This is the true gift of March 16th, not just the material rewards, though those will come, not just the recognition, though that will arrive. The true gift is the permission to finally step into your power without apology, without guilt, without the constant need to prove yourself through suffering. The true gift is the freedom to be who you've always been beneath all that struggle, a master, a leader, a force of nature who creates extraordinary results not through endless suffering, but through the natural expression of your accumulated